Welcome to our first Solar Sustainability Award. I have to say, I am really very excited as we have great projects which will be presented to you in just a couple of seconds. And who could introduce our Sustainability Awards, our first awards, better than a man who has been relentlessly promoting sustainability? He just recently launched 1,000 Solutions together with his Solar Impulse Foundation. 1,000 solutions which are not only sustainable, but also financially profitable today. One of the great explorers of our times and a fierce fighter against climate change, Bertrand Piccard. Here you go.
Hello to everyone. I'm Bertrand Piccard from the Solar Impulse Foundation. And as you know, I have been participating already several times to SolarPower Europe's event and summits. And in the beginning, it was to announce you that it would be possible to fly around the world on solar power. This, thankfully, has been achieved. And then I was explaining you that I was looking at identifying and labeling in the world 1,000 solutions that would be profitable to protect the environment. And now it's my great pleasure to announce you that we have succeeded. 2 weeks ago, we have announced officially 1,000 profitable solutions to protect the environment coming from startups or big companies in the field of water, energy, construction, mobility, industry, agriculture. Of course, a part of it is about solar energy, but I'm not going to tell you too much about it because I'm sure you know all of it. After having reached the function to produce energy, photovoltaic is now even focusing on the style. You have special tiles on the roof, you have glasses absorbing the solar energy coming horizontally. Well, so many things that you already know. But what I'd like to emphasize is the fact that amongst these 1,000 solutions, a lot are about efficiency. How to use resources more efficiently, how to use energy more efficiently. And if we only compare the needs of our world in terms of energy with the capacity of solar production, we see that we would have enough surface for it. But it would take far too long to substitute all the polluting sources of energy with renewable sources. And this is why efficiency is so important. Efficiency, meaning that we don't need to produce as much in order to live as well. And amongst all these solutions, you can go, of course, and look what you would need, because some are platforms to exchange renewable energies between producers and private consumers. Some are about the best use of resources. So you can go, it's open source. The goal is really that everybody can have the proof, really have the proof that it is now financially profitable to protect the environment, and look for all the solutions he will need in order to find them. So what is the use that we want to do now with this portfolio of solutions? We want to make it even more attractive, not only for specialists like you, not only for consumers, but for governments and for big corporations. Because today, people speak a lot. They put ambitious targets of carbon neutrality for 2050, but it's not enough to give a target. We need the tools to reach them. And what we want to do is to offer all these tools to governments, offer all the tools for corporations in order to reach these goals. And what is missing today? You know what is really missing beside the good words, the good targets, and the tools to reach them is the regulation. The regulation is still based on very outdated systems, which means that a lot of people will tell you, I pollute, maybe, but it's allowed. I'm following the rules. I'm following the legal framework. And this has to change. And I believe this is where we can really push you, I, us all together. We have to push governments to modernize the legal framework. in order to make it a need, a necessity to pull to the market all these new technologies that are today hidden in startups, not known enough, needing market, needing access to consumers, needing access to investors. And if the regulation is modernized and the standards become much more relevant with the modern technologies, all these technologies will be pulled to the market. So we start with solar energy, we go to efficiency, we see the importance of regulation, and we see that at the end, it's about sustainability. And this is exactly the work you are doing today. When I was talking to Valburga a few days ago, she was telling me how much SolarPower Europe was starting to focus also on the global issues of sustainability, which of course includes also human rights, child labor, biodiversity, protection of landscape, well, a lot more than only energy. And because we come from energy, we know the economics, we know the technology, and probably we will be heard very well in this. I'm confident. So this, having been said this, the sustainability part of your Solar Summit is also awards. And this is really interesting to see that you are having so many good candidates, bringing so many actions, and now it's about the participants to vote for the best one. So I think that after this short introductory speech to the awards, you will now be able to vote and award the winners. So congratulations for what you are doing. Very happy to participate. And you can always count on me. I'm a friend of SolarPower Europe, as I'm a friend of clean technologies and renewable energies. And I'm sure we will still have a lot of things that we can do together. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thanks, Bertrand. It is always good to know that you've got a friend, and in your case, a really true friend of solar. Ladies and gentlemen, it needs trailblazers to move mountains. And we are very happy to present to you today 3 sustainability pioneers, all very different in what they have been doing or in what they're doing. But before, let me introduce you first to our jury, who has selected the finalists out of a number of other very good candidates, and who will help you behind your screens to make your choice at the end of this session. They will be posing the questions to the finalists. And let me introduce them now to you. We have Stefan Degner, Vice President of the EMEA region of First Solar. Hi, Stefan. And we have Karol Gobczynski, who is Head of Climate and Energy at IKEA, Sustainability, Climate and Energy at IKEA. Without further ado, here are the finalists you have been waiting for. So we have Fronius, represented by David Schönmeier. David Schönmeier, who is working on sustainability and R&D. Then we have Stadtkraft. We have Jose Miguel Ferrer, Vice President, Asset Owner and Country Manager, ECE, Iberia. And last but not least, we have the President of Akv Energy, Eric Scotto. Just as a quick reminder to all the panelists, to all the finalists, every one of you will have 5 minutes to present your sustainable project, and you will be grilled in a friendly way afterwards for 10 minutes by the jury members. And then it will be time for you to vote. But let's get started. David, the floor is yours. What is Fronius doing? We cannot hear you yet. David? We cannot hear you yet. Yeah, now it's working. Perfect.
Okay, yeah, warm welcome from Austria. Thank you a lot for the invitation. We're really looking forward to being in the finals of the SolarPower Europe Sustainability Award. But now the question is, what is now next level sustainability? And yeah, I'm David. I'm a program lead of sustainability by design in our R&D department, and I'm focusing on product sustainability. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is Günther Fronius. He was an electrical engineer and a repairman. And more than 75 years ago, he was searching for a solution to charge car batteries in order to use them for a longer time and not to throw them away. So he developed a battery charger. And this was the day our first business unit was founded, Perfect Charging. And since then, sustainability has been written in our DNA. 75 years later today, we have developed into a strong global player, including Perfect Welding and Solar Energy. And yeah, as a stable family business, we are very, very proud of our roots. And for example, Solar Energy is now represented all over the world with 20 branches. Next slide, please. Yeah, the development of sustainable products and services is a truly important element of our sustainability strategy. So during the product development phase, it's very important to us that our products, first of all, deliver a very, very long service life. This is our approach for quality, as well as efficiency and effectiveness, of course, and repairability and recyclability, just to name a few. And we strive for evidence-based sustainability. And so our project team has devoted itself to finding out just how sustainable are Fronius products really. And so we have conducted a comprehensive life cycle assessment, or in short, LCA, for the Fronius Gen 24 Plus inverter. And as you can see here, we focused on the environmental dimension in this life cycle assessment. Next slide, please. So as you can see in the middle, this is our Fronius Gen 24 Plus inverter. And we really followed our inverter from cradle to grave. And we started on the left side on your screen with the sourcing phase. So where do our materials come from, our components, and how are they being transported to our production facilities? How much CO2 and energy, for example, go into the production? Then it will be transported again to the usage phase, which is very, very long. Possibly, if some error occurs, we can repair our inverter. And then after a long usage phase, it will be transported to some form of end-of-life treatment. Hopefully, it's recycling, and then we can reuse materials again in some form of the production process. We did analyze lots and lots of data on this, for example, CO2 equivalent and the energy, but we even did analyze even more. Next slide, please. So we faced high complexity because the complex engineering, the high degree of engineering required for a really good inverter means that we have 490 components, 2,500 pieces for just one inverter, the Fronius Primo, for example. And in the middle, you can see me taking the hammer and trying to destroy a Fronius Gen 24 inverter and to disassemble it into the materials itself. And we selected 4 inverters, 7 countries, 5 waste scenarios. And you can see we have 140 variants just in this case in the scenarios. And we had 120 values per variant. And this results in 16,800 results. And so you can see the life cycle assessment was really, really challenging. Next slide, please. So the big question is now in the background, you can see how sustainable actually is Fronius Gen 24 Plus inverter. And in background, you can see we did not only focus on the climate aspect, also on fossil resources, on human toxicity, dust, and others. So the environmental benefit exceeds the impact by a factor of up to 26 times, which is huge, to be honest. And between 1,600 and 17,000 kilograms CO2 equivalent is saved with 124 Plus inverter over its lifetime. And to make it more tangible, we calculated that currently we're all at home or in our offices. But if we would have flown, for example, to Brussels and back from Vienna, that you could fly 340 times between Vienna and Brussels. And to make it even more tangible, you would sit in the plane for 77 years. And I think this number is huge, and you can live with it a little bit. And the payback time, of course, is in the range of 0.8 to 3.7 years. So it really makes a lot of sense to focus on this technology. But as you can imagine, we're really proud of the life cycle assessment of our Gen 24 Plus, but it's not enough. We have started a program, Sustainability by Design, where we're focusing on evidence-based sustainability, circular economy, and even further LCAs are currently planned. And with the results of LCAs, we can push circular economy and sustainability even further. Next slide, please. Yeah, I would thank all of you at this great summit for your engagement in sustainability, and I thank you for listening.
Thanks very much, David, for giving us this overview. Very impressive to see the numbers, and I've noted down 490 components, 2,533 pieces you were examining. So really a very impressive job. I would like to give the floor first to Stefan to ask a question, because I'm sure, Stefan, you have some. Stefan, we cannot hear you yet.
Sorry, I didn't realize I got muted. So yeah, thank you, David, for your very impressive presentation and an impressive work you applied here on this life cycle assessment. So I would like to look into the sourcing part. You mentioned that on one of your slides that you've been looking into the sourcing. So how did you manage to get the full transparency with your suppliers on all the hundreds and thousands of parts you are procuring to assemble an inverter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Stefan. This is I think the best question for a really good life cycle assessment, because the quality of the data is key. And so we did an approach to gather primary data and also use secondary data from EcoInvent, for example, because otherwise it's not manageable. To really have primary data all the way along is currently not feasible within a certain time range. So we did a combination. We tried to get as much primary data as possible. So to talk to our suppliers, for example, you have data on materials, for example, the CO2 equivalent, the energy incorporated in the materials, in the products. Of course, we had lots and lots of primary data from our production site and also the transportation, because it's in our hands, basically. And the end of life, we also did some research, for example, with Müller-Guttenbrunn, which is a really, really good electronics recycler in Lower Austria, to be honest. And we talked to them and gathered primary data, so really focused on our product. And this primary data was combined also with secondary data, for example, on the sourcing phase, like standard electronic components, where in EcoInvent, for example, is good valuable data available. So it was a mixture between primary and secondary data. And of course, we're trying to push into the primary data sector even further to narrow it down even more and fine-tune our life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessment is not finished. It's a continuing process.
Thanks, David. Carol, you're the next one who can grill David a little bit more.
Yeah. First of all, thanks a lot, Walburga and SolarPower Europe, for inviting me to join and be able to review all the great projects. And thanks, David, for an amazing presentation. When I was looking into it, I thought, oh, assembling and disassembling IKEA furniture is so easy when you shown how many different parts are part of inverter. Could you share more about, the process and the people who've been internally engaged and externally engaged within this project?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to give you a number, around 50 people were involved over the course of 1 year. So it was quite challenging to get all the high level of quality for the LCA. And so I'm really, really proud to be able to have a really good project team and even lots of people from Fronius and from our suppliers and logistics and from the end of life who helped us. So it was a big project. Definitely, and it was quite fun, I think, because we had some hands-on experience. As you can see, destroying a Gen 24 inverter is fun to me, to be honest, and so it was a really good project, and definitely the challenge was to be finished within 1 year. And after the life cycle assessment, we also did a review with Fraunhofer, and Fraunhofer ISO-DM with Carsten Schischke was the next level in order to ensure the high quality of our calculations. Because currently, yes, there is an ISO standard for life cycle assessment, but it's still challenging to have every calculation right. So we picked the most challenging reviewer, and this is Fraunhofer, a really renowned institute. And so then we could make sure that the work from all our project team, the 50 people involved, is really on the highest level.
David, I have still 2 or 3 minutes to also pose a question. You showed the payback time of the climate impact, and you were very nicely visualizing that also with the more than 300 flights between Vienna and Brussels, and also the energy payback time. 3,000, sorry. So, and also the energy payback time. I would be interested in knowing what the payback time is for Fronius financially of such an effort.
Probably I can tell you in 1 year. I can't I don't have an answer currently on this thing because I'm not so much focused on this aspect. But we can definitely have a look into it and possibly tell you next year about it, if this answer is all right for you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope it pays off at some point to make all these sustainability efforts indeed, and that clients will be happy that you have done all these efforts. I see we still have time for one more question. Carol or Stefan, who wants to take this opportunity?
Maybe building on the question from Walburga, I think, do you see that these projects maybe don't have, automatically payback, but then how you prepare to be a viable business model within the future as well, and how it prepares you for the future regulations? If you could share more.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer on the CO2 price, for example. So I think if you're doing LCA and really using it not just for marketing, but really get the data back and all the insights into the R&D and the engineering. And this is where I'm working on in the R&D. I think in the future, in 2025, 2030, hopefully we have a CO2 pricing, eco-social taxing, or what system soever. So actually then you can calculate the ROI of not just an LCA, but also of really, really high-level eco-design. And this is our motivation and our push, because it has to go into this direction. Otherwise, I think we're doomed, to be honest. So this makes a lot of sense, and this is the case why we're focusing on evidence-based sustainability. And this is our only choice, and this is our goal.
One last short question, Stefan?
Yeah, very quickly. So you were looking, or you were presenting the CO2 payback time, which was kind of between 0.8 and 3.7 years. Did you only look into the energy which was used on your end, or did you really look into all the energy being used to manufacture all the components?
Yes, so we considered everything, because when we're just focusing on our energy part, this is not reality. And I always compare it with I have a really good camera, a digital camera, and I'm taking a picture of reality, and it should be the best image of reality. And so we are focusing on every aspect, energy from sourcing, from the production of capacitors, for example, to the transportation, to the production at our site, usage phase, and then end of life phase. So it's everything included in our life cycle assessment.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Time is up. We are moving to the next project, and we will have Jose Miguel Ferrer presenting to us the project of Stadtkraft, Talayuela. I hope I pronounce it well. It's a beautiful name. The floor is yours. 5 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. Thank you to SolarPower, and thank you to all the assistants. I think we are having really good projects, so it will be a difficult decision. I will also explain you where the name is coming from. Okay, so I think in one of the slides I can explain you where is Talayuela coming from. Next, please. Okay, so the idea is to explain you very quick in 5 minutes What is Talayuela? It's a solar project. It's been done with trackers and string inverters. Then what was the effort that we did to make Talayuela, let's say, a strong, sustainable project? We were working in 3 different areas. And then I will finish with a video. No? So we thought when preparing the installation or preparing the PowerPoint, we thought that a video will be the best thing. No? I think you will be able to see what we've done during this year. And in any case, you need more information, we have a website. So the project has a website, it's talayuelasolar.com. Then you can check in detail all the projects that we are doing into the project. No? So as you will see there is a solar project, but we are doing many sustainable projects around the project itself. Next, please. Okay, so this is Talayuela Solar. It's a 300 megawatt project that is in the west part of Spain, in Extremadura. As you can see on the slide, it's a 300 megawatt peak project. We took a bigger surface than the one that we need for the project. So why? It's because we want to do many sustainable projects around the solar project. So the idea when designing the project and the idea when getting the permits in place, the idea was to integrate as much as possible the project with the environment and the project with the community. Then you will see later more or less all the things we were doing. So the project has more or less 1 million solar panels. That's enough green energy to power 150,000 homes, and is the equivalent to 180,000 tons. The homes, just to make you a number, is like the whole province of Badajoz. No? So it's many times the town of Talayuela. We've been building the project during COVID. It's been a 1-year construction, and the project will be in operation hopefully at the end of May. Next, please. So this is where the name is coming from. So Talayuela in reality is a little town. It's located in Cáceres, in Extremadura. It's a very rural area of Spain. It has just around 7,000 people living there, and the whole town works in agriculture. That's the main level of, let's say, the main economical activity. One of the problems that we identified when we were there sitting with the council was the unemployment ratio. No? So these people doesn't have employment, and when they have it, it's just on a seasonal basis, no, on a temporal basis. So then, if we go to the next one, please. Then what we did was to prepare a project around the solar project that was based mainly in 3 topics. It was based on the local economy, it was based on the people living there, and it was based on the environmental. So next, please. So here is what we did in local economy. No? So first thing that we did when talking with the council and with the mayor, it was to put a solution on the problem of employment. No? And that means, what can we do with all these people living there? So then we signed an agreement with the council in which we were giving preference to all the people living in the town. We took the commitment of employing around 100 people, but as you can see on the slide, we really overachieved that number. No? So we created as an average, that means if you see it like a bell curve, as an average, we created 425 jobs. That means that one day was less people working, but on the peak, we reached up to 1,000 people working on the project. We were able to move all these employments to local people. So we employed to 326 local people full-time during a year in the project. And the problem was that these people didn't know about solar. So we also trained all these people. So we were doing like a monthly trainings with them, and we trained more than 400 people. Okay, we also trained them during COVID. As you can imagine, the site was almost shut down, but we were training them on the outside with all the measures. Not stopping on the employment, we also try to move some part of the investment to local companies. We've been also training local companies, and we deviate something like 1.2 million euros to local companies. And also one of the benefits of the project at local level is the amount of taxes. No? So the amount of taxes that the project is paying is paying the whole debt of the town. We can go to the next,
almost
please.
Reaching 5 minutes, Jose Miguel.
Are we already in 5 minutes?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm going quick. So something that we just at local level is we've been sponsoring the football team, we've been supporting the food bank, and we are doing yearly events with local ONGs. Next, please. And then going with the last one, the project has, as you can see, a strong budget on environmental impact measures. So we have spent around €1 million in environmental projects around the project. We left, as I said before, 300 hectares of environmental protected area. More or less 78 hectares were just for trees. There is a very protected tree in region, and we are planting around 5,000 acorns per year during the next 5 years. So with the hope of getting more trees in place around the project. Next, please. So we've been also supporting or helping the local birds. So we've been installing houses. We've been supporting with different plants, reptiles, and the wild rabbit. We've been restoring all the ponds around the projects, and we are signing an agreement with the university to follow the dynamics of the common crane. And then the last one, and I'm done, just the video will be left, is we also created on the environmental area, we have created a classroom. So we are reaching agreements with all the schools around, and the idea is that we will be doing environmental education programs. This house is being built with recycled materials, and we also built a little solar park next to the classroom so people can visit it. Thank you very much for listening, and apologize for the time.
Thanks, Jose Miguel. Thanks very much, Jose Miguel. It's really great to see how huge projects as yours, 300 megawatt, are really being developed sustainably, not just biodiversity, but also social aspects and other aspects. So really very, very nice to see. Carol, you will be the first one deep diving.
Yes, thanks so much. I think it's really amazing project when we see of course, how you combine the biodiversity and social aspects. And we know during the last 50 years, we lost almost 70% of living species on this planet. And you explained how you measure the social impact through the contracts. Could you explain how do you measure with the biodiversity impact? Because through your application, we saw quite many numbers on the different species and what are the measurements. Could you explain more about how you do it?
Can you remake the question, sorry, or what do you
Yeah.
what do I need to say, sorry?
Yeah, so how will you or how did you measure the biodiversity impact?
Okay, so we are doing, so during construction and during the whole project operation life, we are doing an environmental, let's say, like a report on a monthly basis. So we are checking on a monthly basis. So we have different contractors on site, and they come to site, I would say, on a bi-weekly basis, and they check that all the measures that we are doing are, in this case, helping or not helping to the biodiversity living there. So we are doing, I would say, a monthly control during the project life.
Thanks, Jose Miguel. Stefan.
Yeah, very interesting presentation of Jose Miguel, and I think you're touching very important points with biodiversity and community engagement, which is super important for such large projects. But I would believe for any kind of project which is ground mounted, yeah, and taking away some kind of free space. So thanks for that. I would like to understand how you are using the learnings from this project and this approach to further scale within Statkraft, but also to take a kind of best practice approach for your future projects developed with Statkraft Solar Century.
Exactly. So in this case, we have a dedicated team. It's called the Sustainable Team, and we have a dedicated project manager for the projects, and we are applying more or less the same standards in all the projects. So we, for example, did another project in Andalusia that we were also thinking in presenting here. In this case, we did local employment, but we were doing agrovoltaics as well. And we were putting, so we more or less what we are doing is we know the council, we know necessities, we understand what is best for the social, the people living there, and then we apply projects, let's say, you know. So each project is different, but of course the standards of Talayuela are being applied to all the other projects in Solar Century or Statkraft.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Jose Miguel, I would be interested in knowing, digging a little bit deeper also on the social measures. I could imagine that other municipalities are knocking on your door, telling you, we also want to have the training, we want to have these jobs, we also want to have some money for our football club. Is this creating more business for you?
Well, it is helping. It's true that we are getting calls from mayors saying, I want you having a project here. That's true. Of course, capacity and substations are key, no? But in this case, how can I say that? We are in love with Talayuela, no? So we were giving support to Talayuela. We've been also employing neighbors around, so that's true. But we were giving the support to the council and to the mayor and to the people living there. But yes, so we are getting calls from mayors asking if we can have a project and if we can apply more or less the same standards that we did in Talayuela. That's very good. Yeah.
Carol.
Yeah, I think I will come back to this biodiversity topic. If you could share more about the local species that you see that you can help or you will help through monitoring and performing the activities.
That is the key species there is the common crane. So you know that it flies from Africa to the north of Europe, and then they use Extremadura itself to make to give birth there, no, and to have the eggs there and to eat there for a time. So they have a specific control of the dynamics. That's one of the most important, let's say, on the bird life. On the plant side, we have a very protected tree, which is the Holm oak. Those are more than 100 years old of the trees, and they are super protected. And that's we've been respecting them during construction and, of course, during the design. But those are the two critical species, I would say. No, so all the others were really important, but were not as protected as this one, let's say. No.
Carol was asking earlier to David how many people were involved at the Fronius project. I would have a similar question to you, Jose Miguel. I was wondering, you know, how people in Statkraft reacted when you were coming up with this project, how motivated they were, because I can imagine it adds quite some complexity to a project, and how much this is motivating people further to do similar projects in Statkraft.
I mean, I was really supported by, in this case, was Solar Century, but now it's by Statkraft. So I was really supported. This has been always in the DNA of the company, no? So we've been, from the beginning, we've been always pushing the country managers to do the projects, but also to do them responsible, no? And corporate social responsibility has been always key, no? On the difficulty side, I can tell you it is difficult. So we set a website. We were receiving all the CVs from the 400 people through a website, some of them complaining this is not working, some of them complaining mine doesn't work, some of them sending it by email. So the amount of work that creates to employ, to train, to bring them to site, it was huge. It was huge. I cannot tell you the number of dedicated people, but I will say between the office and the construction site, more than 10 or 15 people was fully dedicated to get the CVs, to call them, to train them. I cannot go because I have a doctor appointment. Okay, come next time. I went to half of the training, but I didn't go to the end. Can I reschedule my second part of the training? So it's been a huge amount of work, and the team performed amazingly, no? And to make it a bit more difficult, we have the COVID in the middle, no? So who was adding a bit more of flavor to all this meal.
Would you say they're motivated to do similar projects, or are they tired of all that
No, I
complex?
will say we keep going and we keep improving. Maybe next time I can explain you another project that we are going to do in Castilla León, but we are going to the next level. Yeah. So we will be improving, and we keep motivated to do more and more. That's clear.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much, Jose Miguel. Time is over.
Thank you very much.
And we'll move to the last project we would like to present to you, which is a project from Akv Energy. And I'm very happy to have the president of Akv Energy, Eric Scott, here with us. Eric, the floor is yours. 5 minutes for your presentation.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, next slide, please. And then next one. So good afternoon. Very pleased to be with you today. So I'm going straight into the action. So we've been pushing for a new model since 15 years, more than 15 years now, which is a decentralized and durable model for energy. And the project I'm going to talk about today is called Akv Energy. That's the word we invented 15 years ago in the Reunion Island. The main idea was, how do we solve the problem of space scarcity? Because since 20 years in Akv, we knew that PV, we knew that solar will be the standard in the future, in most of the countries in the world. So we knew that the problem of space scarcity will become a huge problem in the future. So we invented a system which is called Akv Energy. And here you see that we took the opportunity of wasted spaces on a prism in the Reunion Island to create, you can see at the top, some anti-cyclonic PV greenhouses. The main idea was not only to produce energy, but to avoid to use the soil and the space to consume the space for PV. So we decided to keep the space for agriculture and to use the roof for PV. And this is not only new design, it was also a way for us to finance two transitions: the energy transition and the agricultural transition. Why? Because the solar industry 15 years ago started to demonstrate that it was durable, that it was bankable. But the agricultural transition, going to organic food, is difficult, especially in cyclonic area like that. So we decided to finance, thanks to the revenue of the solar industry, to finance the beginning of a new organic agricultural transition. And that was the beginning of the model. This project is not only anti-cyclonic greenhouses, it's also PV, and it's also one of the largest storage projects, PV storage project, 9 MWh in Reunion. Next slide, please. It's easy to understand that it works on island, but not only. Because in Europe, for example, you will see that we will have a polemic, we will have problem to impose more photovoltaic projects, because people will say you are consuming space. So we copy the model we initiated in Reunion Island, and this one is in south of France. Everybody was laughing at it 10 years ago, even the farmers. And in the last months, everybody's queuing to copy the model, because we are protecting the organic apricots from the hail, from they haven't been frozen in 2 weeks ago when everything was freezing in France. And we demonstrated that the farmers is keeping the same revenue every year because of the protection of the PV shading system. Next, please. Of course, with this system, we are saving water, we are collecting water, so there is many benefits for the farmers. So this unique system now, which was called Akv Energy, now is known, and we were talking about it, Miguel, a little bit earlier, It's called agrivoltaic. So from a name we invented 15 years ago, now there is common name, which is agrivoltaism all over Europe. So I'm very proud to tell you that Akv Energy now is really replicated all over the world. It's one of the 1,000 solutions from Bertrand, almost from the beginning. I know that at SolarPower, you have a solar for agriculture project, and I'd like to thank you for the Agri-Solar publication you made yesterday, which is huge for us. Can you imagine? Now there is a publication talking about this concept, which is becoming a standard. So I'm sure, and now I can be 100% sure that we're going, thanks to this solution, to accelerate the energy transition, accelerate the agricultural transition all over the world. And it's not only technical, it's so many additional benefits from the farmers. And I'm sure we will succeed also in the agricultural transition. And we demonstrated that at a territorial level, we can combine the two benefits and make it happen. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Eric. It is indeed very impressive to see that you started back in 2007, you know, when the solar revolution only just started, basically, when you were already looking into combining agriculture and energy production with solar. So very, very impressive. And indeed, you mentioned that this week we published our Agri-Solar best practice guidelines, where, you know, after so many years, we're setting the standards because we see that there's a huge interest in that business model. Who wants to pose the first question? Stefan?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eric. This is really, really interesting. And thank you very much for your persistence over so many years and your belief in this, this brand and in this solution. And showing that it's now picking up, and I believe it's really important to support the further growth of solar PV in distributed areas where we always compete with land access. So this is double use. My first question to you is on the economics, yeah, because building these kind of structures will cost a lot more. Yeah, you need to put a lot more of steel and substructure into the ground in order to allow the farming activities below it. Is the return kind of from the farming enough to pay off for the additional investment you have to take at T0?
This is the question. This is the question. How do you measure the value of a project? And to answer your questions, if your company is looking for quarterly results, immediate return, quick return on investment, it could not work. So the way it works, it's only if you have a long-term view as an energy producer, and our DNA is very long-term. So what we're looking at is our position as Akv as an element of the territory of the ecosystem for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Even in Portugal, we are leading projects like that. We sign lease for the next 70 years. Why? Because we need time. We need time. There is two huge transitions to lead, energy and agriculture. And it takes time. And especially when you want to go to organic agriculture, you need to restore the soil sometimes. There is soil restoration. So you need time. So as a Akv shareholder, my position in the value of my company, I'm looking at financial indicators, of course, but also social indicators and environmental indicators. That is the value of the company. And of course, the return, I'm not going to lie to you. If I'm doing a ground-mounted project and I compare it to an anti-cyclonic greenhouse project, PV in Réunion, it takes more years to make the same benefit. So what? Because our position is that we are building the future. And to answer your question, yes, we're making profit. If we were not making profit, we will not be able to invest. We are bankable, otherwise the banks will not finance us, but the return is some more years, okay? But that's our vision of the business, is more long-term, is not philanthropic. It's just that we want to be part of the territory and to exist as a company for decades. And our role is to improve the resilience and the attractivity of territories. So we fully assume the fact that it takes some more years to get the same returns as my competitors, but that's it.
Thanks,
Thank you
Eric.
very much.
Carol.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's amazing how you combine the agriculture and the resilience topic here. And if you could share more with us, because about the part of the reduction of chemicals used and soil depletion and the water use consumption, what exactly, where your projects are helping, or how they are enabling exactly to increase resilience and reduce the soil depletion?
The apricot project, because we're leading more than 30 projects already in the world which are existing and in operation. The apricot project, it's exactly what you said, exactly what you did. This is a very dry region, so it was absolutely essential to collect the water. And thanks to the PV and the mechanism, we are collecting it. No chemical at all. So it takes more time, of course. We're using the birds, we're using the biodiversity to control, to regulate the site. But there is one very important thing. Because it's under the PV, when there is the flower coming at spring, you know, there is no risk that the rain will be damaging the flower. So there is no, how do you say that, mushrooms, champignons, you know, there is no risk of mushrooms, so you don't need chemicals to fight it, you know. So it's exactly what you are saying. We are creating a new balancing in the production. But of course, since there is no intrant, there is no chemicals, you're also saving on the price of the production, the security, the regularity of the production. The conclusion of that is that what we wanted to do since day one, and we've done it, is to demonstrate that if you change the way you are producing organic food and you change the economy of such production, you can produce organic food cheaper. And everybody thinks organic food should be more expensive. That's not true. This is a lie. This is just because they are lazy to change the way to produce organic food. Thanks to that, we are selling locally, and we are selling those food to schools, local schools for the kids. Because the ultimate goal is to be sure that our kids will eat organic food at a proper price. You're creating jobs locally, more jobs, and you're completely changing the territory, creating more attraction, more resilience. That works in south of France, that works on Ireland, that works everywhere. I'm so surprised that today we are leading such project in United States. How could we imagine 15 years ago that from Indian Ocean we will end up in LA for an Akv Energy project? This is the future. This is going to become one of the standards to increase the proportion of renewable energy in energy mix, because we're solving the scarcity of space in many countries.
Eric, one question also from me. You have been pursuing this model, this business model, for almost 15 years now. How have you seen changing your projects? For example, I would be interested in knowing whether organic farming has been there at the very beginning or whether it came in at the later stage, and how did you also improve your projects over time?
No, organic farming was a key condition day one, because we started 10 projects between 2007 and 2010, and the goal was really to demonstrate the business model. It's all about a business model. If I'm a farmer, organic farmer, and I'm taking care of my soil, I'm going to capture more carbon. I'm not going to use chemical. This is a service for the community. And no one wanted to pay the farmers for that. We said, let's pay the farmers for the benefit for the community of capturing more CO2 in the soil. Okay, that was day one. And the second demonstration we wanted to do is that if I'm a farmer, I'm starting organic farming, but I have no debt in the infrastructure. I'm not forced to produce massively, not take care of the quality, but produce volume to reimburse the bank. The model is changing. So we pushed the bank and we said to the bank, okay, lend me a little bit of more money. Yes, this is a little bit costly, more costly for me, but please, the bank participates to this investment. And they accepted. They accepted. Why? Because I'm selling renewable energy. I have visibility of my cash flow, so they lend me the money, you know. And thanks to that, the farmers has no debt. So since day one is how can we prove that by changing the energy model and by changing the agricultural model and combining it, we can demonstrate that we can decrease the price of organic food. So to answer your question, day one, that was the goal since day one.
Thanks very much, Eric. We're running out of time. It's now time to vote. Thanks very much. To vote on the 3 projects which have just been presented to you. In order to do so, you have to go to an app which is called Slido, SLI.do, and please enter the code hashtag SolarPower Summit 2021. Once again, hashtag SolarPower Summit 2021, and please vote. The votes are now open for 3 minutes, and I'm super excited to know who the winner is. In the meanwhile, I can share with you what the prize is for the winner. It is above all visibility. Because we do think that it is important to have that visibility for sustainability projects. So the winner will be featured in an interview in our monthly newsletter, and this newsletter is going to more than 18,000 subscribers. And we will also have a Q&A blog on our website. And obviously, we will also make sure that we will not waste any opportunity to put all the 3 finalists in the spotlight, together with all the other pioneers who did not make it in the finals. And thanks very much, by the way, for all the applications. We received really a lot. So a great interest for our sustainability awards. And basically also for those who did not apply. So please do so next year. We are happy to put you all in the spotlight in order to make sure that you're inspiring others. You're an example of sustainability. And we at SolarPower Europe are making sure that your example is followed by others. So some of the examples, by the way, for you while you're voting, some of the examples have been taken up in our Solar Sustainability Best Practice Benchmark. This is a benchmark, a report which has been published this week, and I'm inviting you to have a look at it. Very exciting other projects which are featuring there as well. So I'm looking at the time. I think we have a couple of seconds left. Maybe that's just about time to still ask you, Stefan and Carol, a short question. What are you taking from all the presentations we heard today? You had a lot of good questions. What are you taking from it? Stefan, can I ask you first?
Yeah, thank you, Borga. I'm really impressed about all the thought leadership, all the innovation, all the sustainability thinking which is being applied in these companies and also in the other applicants we have seen and analyzed. So this is really showing the importance of a sustainability approach in our industry, from the sourcing over the use down to the recycling of components, or applying combinations like Eric just was showing. I think this is all for the benefit of our industry. This is all for the benefit of further growth of solar in Europe and worldwide. And I think we have a bright future, a bright, sustainable future in front of us.
Thanks, Stefan. Carol?
Yeah, I think first it's like such a progress. When we saw, the solar system prices going down, we were celebrating, but now solar industry actually is transforming the systemic changes, bringing the systemic changes which are needed, which is so exciting to see, the biodiversity, the social aspect of just transition. I think it's very inspirational, and especially, and of course, the parts taking responsibility for your total supply chain and understanding your impact. So I'm excited to see what will come next year.
Thank you. In any way, we will pursue these awards, and we will make sure that they continue for a very long time, because it is very important from our perspective to put thought leaders in the spotlight. So please, all of you, join us again next year for the next awards. But for now, we want to know who is the winner. And I'm looking at my team to see whether we have the results. You can hear a needle falling here. Yeah, and the winner is Akv. Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Eric.
Thank you very much. I just forgot to say one thing which is important. In the prison, we've been training so many prisoners to organic agriculture under PV greenhouses, and now they most of them, they work in real life. So it's real jobs. So this proved that when you give a chance to prisoners to learn a real job, okay, that works. So rehabilitation of the people works. So I forgot almost the most important thing. So thank you very much. You understood how important it is for us, this Akv Energy project, which is called agrivoltaïsme or agri-solar. In France, they didn't take Akv Energy because it's a brand from Akv. But now that is becoming more popular, I'm ready to offer the brand to everybody.
So you don't have to convince us anymore. You convinced the audience, Eric. Congratulations, and all the best. We will see a lot of you of your project in our communication in the next months to come. And also thanks very much to all the other finalists. Really great projects, and we will put you in the spotlight as much as we can. Last but not least, thanks also to the jury, thanks to Stefan, and thanks to Carol for taking this time, being with us and asking all these questions, which were very, very useful for the audience to make their choice. See you back next year at our next awards, where we will present other projects which should inspire everyone to do similar things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was the SolarPower Summit, edition 2021. 3 full days of great content. You will find the recaps on the SolarPower Europe homepage, and the videos of the sessions will be made publicly available in the next days. Before we are closing, let me shine a spotlight on some of the highlights of the last days. There was agreement that solar has to be deployed much faster in Europe. Even if we would have really opted to get a bit more, hoped to get a bit more insights on what the Fit for 55 package will bring. Our SolarPower Summit came a little bit too early for that. We understood that solar will play an important role and will be further supported by regulation. We got confirmation that setting up a 20 gigawatt PV manufacturing capacity in Europe is absolutely possible. And most importantly, that the European Commission is also committed to support the sector. We also brought to you two new flagship reports. The first Solar Sustainability Best Practice Benchmark, which is highlighting trailblazers and giving inspiration for others to follow, just as the Solar Sustainability Awards just in the last couple of minutes. And our AgriSolar Best Practice Guidelines, giving very concrete recommendations for projects combining both agriculture and solar electricity production. A concept which is, by the way, greatly contributing to also sustainability and the sustainable land use in particular. Our summit featured the highest level of speakers, a reflection of the increasing importance of the solar sector. They all have shown their commitment and support to the solar sector. Vice President of the Commission, Franz Timmermans, the Energy Minister of Greece and Austria, Mr. Skrekas and Ms. Gewessler. We also had 3 Director Generals steering the work of the European Commission: Dieter Juul Jørgensen, responsible for energy, Kerstin Johanna, accounting for economic growth in the Commission, and Koen Doens, driving international cooperation. Jutta Paulus was also joining us from the European Parliament, and Francesco La Camera, Director General of the International Renewable Agency, IRENA, from Abu Dhabi. And of course, many industry leaders. You selected the winners of our first Gender Champion Award, which was Sonedix, our Startup Award, which is already kind of tradition, and the winner was Smart Helio, and just right now the first Sustainability Award with Akv as the winner. Finally, I was particularly happy having also the voice of the young generation raised at our SolarPower Summit with Cassia Moraes. She is the founder and CEO of Youth Climate Leaders. And I would like to end my recap with a quote from Cassia. "The climate crisis is the best opportunity to include all young people in the climate economy." Indeed, young people want sustainable growth and be included in this transition. The solar sector can provide both a sustainable future and a lot of jobs. And we at SolarPower Europe are continuing our hard work on it. I hope you enjoyed the sessions, the networking, the on-demand content, and also the wellness breaks. Thank you very much for joining us, and a big thanks to all the speakers, and a very, very special thanks to the great SolarPower Europe team for their very hard work making this SolarPower Summit a true success. I hope to see you next year in person at our SolarPower Summit 2022. And in the meanwhile, should you be in Brussels, when the COVID situation allows again, you're very warmly invited to come and see us here at our new SolarPower Europe offices at the heart of European decision making. Unfortunately, you don't see the view I have here, but you will when you come over. And let's have a solar roasted coffee together here and discuss the bright future of solar. Take care.